bow towards the old grain dock and heading her bow now eventually to assume a downstream position.
Right there. Meaning where you said you were.
The turning operation now complete, her anchor is hauled up and she can proceed on her own power downstream. Here we approach the bend at the Ohio Street Bridge, and the deck crew must walk the dock in order to wire her around this bend. A small pleasure boat finds himself between the McCurdy and the dock, and the captain has to yell at him to holler him out of the way because her bow will be put into the dock you can see just ahead. The Ohio Street Bridge span is now being lifted to allow the McCurdy to proceed through. The turning operation at the Ohio Street Bend will be rather delicate tonight because the Townsend, a National Gypsum Cement boat, is occupying the cement dock right on our bow. The deck gang is on the dock now, handling the bow wire to pull it around the base of the bridge pier and secure it onto a shackle attached to a buried dead man at the far side of the bend. A snafu develops. Our bow line fouls itself on a timber in the bridge pier, and a man goes down between the timbers in an attempt to free the line, which he does successfully. Had he not been able to free this line, the McCurdy perhaps would have slid into the Townsend parked on the opposite side of the stream. It is now early in the morning on the next day. The McCurdy finds herself upbound in Lake Erie, and the morning deck crew now will open the hatches and proceed to clean out, hose down the cargo hold in the deck. There is much grain dust and small amounts of residual grain that has to be cleaned up to keep her ship shape.
3 on both sides. You just want that?
Up to the station. 2-2, over.
The largest bulk carrier on the Great Lakes, the Delancey, overtakes us in western Lake Erie. She's upbound light to bring down another cargo of iron ore to the lower lake ports. The Delancey is now passing the downbound loaded carrier American Republic, headed for Lorraine with her cargo of taconite pellets. The hosing down now all completed, the deck crew proceeds to close the hatches again. Finally arriving at the extreme western end of Lake Erie, the McCurdy makes her turn to enter the Livingston Channel, turning about the turning buoy at the mouth of the channel. It's a beautiful evening at sunset as we pass the Detroit River Light, just as the sun passes beneath the horizon. In the last remaining light of day, we pass a downbound Canadian steamer headed for Lake Ontario and most probably the St. Lawrence River. She's the Canada Steamship Line's Marie Bay. During the night, we transited the Detroit River northbound, Lake St. Clair, and the St. Clair River, emerged into Lake Huron at the Blue Water Bridge, and are now out on Lake Huron itself. The morning deck crew finishes up the final hosing down of the deck to make the McCurdy completely shipshape. We take a quick visit down into the McCurdy's engine room to watch her triple expansion engines operating at full speed ahead up Lake Huron. Her engines are of the triple expansion type, with her low pressure cylinder being 65 inches in diameter, intermediate 38, and high pressure cylinder 24 inches in diameter. In the center you see her gauges for steam pressure and vacuum pressure that the engineer checks constantly to maintain maximum horsepower output of his engines. This view is of the Stevenson linkage controlling the valves for her steam cylinders. the engine room chadburn, which receives the engine direction signals from the wheelhouse. The throttles, which control the speed and direction of the engine. We are now down at the lowest deck, at the bottom of the engine, and looking at the crank throws of the propeller shaft. The connecting rod you see oscillating up and down connects to the piston rod, which in turn is connected to the piston of the engine. There you see the crosshead connecting the connecting rod to the piston rod. Here we see the turning propeller shaft and the